Hey there, it's so nice to see you here. So I thought it'd be really fun to recreate some of my old art that I created last year just to see if I've improved and how, just to be aware of things that I've learned over the past couple of months. Because sometimes when you're doing something and you always look at what others are doing and how amazing they are and what they're doing, you sometimes tend to be completely unaware of your own success and progress in your own journey. And usually ends up with you feeling unhappy or that you'll never be good or far enough, or so you feel always behind. And this is also an issue when it comes to painting. Sometimes we tend to look at other people's art and we start comparing ourselves to them. And then it's super easy to think, oh, I wish I had their style, or I wish I was as good as them, or I'll never be good at painting. But the truth is, the only person you should compare yourself to is yourself. And you might have heard this before, and it's actually true. You'll never be aware of your progress, and you'll never feel like you're getting better in anything if you constantly keep looking at someone else and feeling like you'll never be good as them. You might want to paint, draw, or be good at something as someone else that you admire, but when you're at that point where they are right now, the person you admire will also get better and make even more progress in their journey. So you'll never feel happy or satisfied with yourself because you'll keep chasing something that you can't reach and you'll feel always behind. What I'm trying to say is that there is no point in trying to be just like someone else or be good as someone else. You'll feel so much happier when you actually take time to reflect and think how far you've come and where you got better and what you have learned. You'll be surprised how proud you should be of yourself. So one of the things I learned over the time is that I really enjoy painting sunsets, different landscapes, and just simple things that bring me joy. I stopped worrying about making something super realistic or something super stylized because someone else is doing that. And I also stopped putting so much pressure on myself to paint something super extraordinary or something like crazy. I think this is something aspiring artists are struggling with all the time. They feel like what they paint is not special enough or that they need to paint something in particular. So at the end, it's all about what others will say or think. And you lose touch of what you actually want and why you actually create art. So it's okay if you don't feel like painting flowers anymore, or you don't really feel like painting something super realistic, because the simplicity in things is something that brings you joy. And that's what I learned about me and my process. I mean, maybe at some point I will feel like painting something completely else. But right now I'm focusing on learning more about the medium and getting better at what I'm already doing. So we'll see what I will do next year. Another thing that I've learned is that it doesn't matter what you paint as long as you know how to use your colors. Sometimes beginners buy a huge watercolor set and start painting something while following a tutorial, but they don't really know what exactly they're doing, and in the end everything looks muddy or weird and they don't really know why. And I believe that knowing your colors and how to use them and when makes such a difference. So I actually took time to learn more about it. I played around with different combinations and really tried to understand what colors go well together and why and what I should mix together. So if you ever felt like your galaxy painting always looks muddy and you don't know why, I would highly recommend to learn more about color mixing. And I actually have a free guide that you can download where I talk about the difference between certain colors and how it can affect your mixing results. So if you want to learn more about it, you can find a link in the description box down below. Another thing I've learned is that less is more. When you look at my older painting, you can clearly see I went overboard with different colors and my white pen. To be honest, looking at it now, it kind of looks like I didn't know what I was doing. And at that time I really liked it and I did my best and I wanted to share my ideas, and so many of you really liked it, so I'm super happy about it. But over the time I realized I just need to keep things simple and don't feel like I need to slap on all the colors and whatnot into one painting. It's totally okay to just focus on the colors and how you apply them, because you can achieve so many beautiful results without you even trying to do something special with them. You can see that I just blend my colors back and forth and move things around, and that's it. And if you still feel like you want to add something later, you can always do that. Which brings me to another point. Over the time, I realized that I shouldn't be scared of messy paintings or things that didn't work out. Sometimes I put so much pressure on myself to make something amazing the first time I try, but it never worked. So what I realized was when I put this idea on the paper that didn't work out, a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders because I didn't feel like I'm a failure or anything. I rather felt such a relief because now I can just focus on having fun painting. It's like I had to get this idea out of my system before I could focus on simply having fun without trying to cling onto this one idea, which was probably not even that great, because after that I always found such better ways of doing something. So now what I really embrace is just to have fun and to experiment. I see every painting as a stepping stone to a better one. So every painting that didn't work out brings me closer to a better version because I keep learning what works and what doesn't, and I can use this knowledge when I try again. And with watercolors, you can totally fix things as well while you're painting. If you pay close attention to my painting process, you can see that the green paint seeped through my washi tape that I didn't even saw in the beginning. Then I accidentally dropped water onto my painting, so it was a mess, and there were plenty of clumsy mistakes. But the beauty of watercolors is that you can always reactivate them or you can paint over them. You can also see that I added more and more paint, I moved the paint around, and at some point it looked completely different. And that's what I love about watercolors. You can simply let go, focus on a few simple colors and play around with them. And it's so fun and relaxing. Another thing that I've learned is the importance of watercolor paper. Now, I was always aware that you should use watercolor paper, but there's so much that goes into that. Now, this watercolor book on the left side that I was using is totally okay and I enjoyed working with it. But the more I tested out higher quality watercolor paper that is made out of 100% cotton, it was such a game changer. I didn't have to even try to make things look better because I didn't have to constantly fight the paper. I would just lay down the paint here and there and it would just magically create beautiful transitions or flat washes. So what I started doing is, first I invested in one watercolor block that was made out of 100% cotton. And once I realized I keep constantly buying it again and again when I ran out of it, because it was so amazing, I started buying huge sheets of watercolor paper that was a lot cheaper, and then I would cut them into smaller sizes. So I've been using Arch watercolor paper, and here the paper is 100% cotton paper by Winsor Newton, and they're both great. Now there are different brands and I've been testing a bunch of different papers, but those two are really great so far. I think once you find your favorite paper, you should just stick to it. And at this point, we have way too many options when it comes to watercolor supplies that it gets way too much. Now, sometimes beginners think that they should wait before they get better in painting before they even think about investing in better watercolor paper. But oftentimes what happens is that they don't even get to that point because they get discouraged along the way and start believing that watercolors is just not their thing because it doesn't work for them, so they simply quit. And most of the time it was not their fault, it was just the quality of the watercolor supplies they were using. And I understand that beginners might feel scared to invest more because they're just afraid to waste their supplies, and I totally get that. But sometimes you only feel this way just because you had bad experience with lower quality supplies, especially with lower quality paper that will just break or make everything look streaky. So you might assume it will also happen to you when you would use higher quality tools, and I totally get that. And I'm not saying that you can't enjoy painting with lower quality art supplies, because you can. But if you hit the point where you feel like giving up because watercolors make you feel frustrated, nothing works, then you might want to consider upgrading your supplies. And investing in good supplies will actually save you money along the way. You won't collect cheap stuff at home that you won't even use because just the thought makes you feel like you want to throw them out of the window. You would actually have something that you can use for years and that actually brings you joy when you use it. And this is something I hear all the time. On one side, there are a lot of people that don't believe that better paper would make a difference, while others are so happy they upgraded and they wish they would have done this earlier because then they would have saved so much time and energy and wouldn't have been frustrated all the time. So if I would have started it all over, I think I would have gotten good quality watercolor paper instead of putting all my money into just the watercolor set. Because as you might have seen in some of my videos, you could see that even the most expensive watercolors didn't look that great on cheap paper, but cheap watercolors looked so much better on higher quality paper. And in this video, I'm actually using the same watercolors, just a new set because my old one is way too disgusting right now. Just the paper, brush, and my better understanding of colors is new. So these were my top 5 things that I've learned, and I wish these were the things I knew sooner. But that's okay. We all go at our own pace and we learn something new exactly when we need it. So I'm happy that you're here and you're learning with me. So if you have any questions or struggles with watercolors, let me know in the comments so I know what your problems are and what is holding you back from painting with watercolors. Next week, I'll be sharing a few more tips that hopefully will make you excited to start learning with watercolors or even take it to the next level with a new perspective. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and have the notifications on so you don't miss any of my future videos. Don't forget you can download my free guides. You can find the links in the description box down below. So thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day and I will see you in my next video. Bye!